Hello again and welcome to the video. So in this video we'll be covering a concept called this characteristics of a good requirement and some validation techniques. So validating the requirements and all. So coming to the topic. So what are these good requirements and all? So what are these what requirements? Requirements are nothing but which are used to develop a software, right? So again, what are these good requirements and bad requirements are like? So what are the good requirements? So good requirements which helps and make sure that the project is delivered exactly what the user want. A good requirements is necessary to develop a good software, right? So in similarly, what are the different characteristics of a good requirement? Characteristics are nothing but a properties, okay? Properties of this good requirement. So it is like what one is a clear and simple. What is the first clear characteristic is like a clear and simple. What is this clear and simple? Which means the requirement should be written in a plain language that everyone can understand. So everyone in the sense the different stakeholders like designers, developers, some testers and customers, also the users as understood all the requirements. So for example, to understand this clear and simple characteristic called, what is the example is like the app should show a map to track the delivery. So this is the requirement of this pre-and food delivery app. So what is the thing here? What is the requirement here? The app should show a map to track the delivery. It is a type of a good requirement. Why? It is very clear, it is very understandable for everyone who are developing a software. Why this clear and simple characteristic important? Because everyone knows what exactly needs to be built. Okay, so if the requirement is clear and simple, then everyone knows exactly what needs to be built, because that is the requirement which is very clear and simple, which is to be added, which is one of the requirement of the pre-entry food delivery app and all. So, and what is the second characteristic? Second characteristic is like complete. What it means it should include all the details needed to implement it. Okay, for example, the app should allow payments using the credit cards, UPI, and wallets, which means why this a complete characteristic all about it lists out all the payment options, so nothing is left out. So with the given example, it is listing out all the payment options, so there is nothing left out regarding this payment section and all. So it should be complete. Okay, why this complete character means it lists out all the different options of a particular requirement. What is the requirement? What is the requirement case here? The payment option. So what is the payment option? Using a credit cards, UPS, and wallet. So it is listing out all the different payment options, so there is nothing left out to be added, because it is very complete, it is a complete requirement. Next, feasible. So feasible is nothing but which means the requirement should be something that can actually be done, which is nothing but which is achievable. Okay, so it studies that the given requirement is achievable or not. For example, the app should handle 50,000 users at the same time. For suppose, take an example of this pre and food delivery app and all. So during a festive season, there will be getting some bulk orders. So it should handle, for example, it should handle 50 users at the same time. So this requirement will be studied. Practically, it is achievable or not will be done in this with this characteristic. Okay, which is nothing but a feasible. So, and what is the fourth one? The fourth characteristic about a testable. What it means? It means like you should be able to check if the requirement is met or not. So for example, the app should load within 3 seconds. So this is one of the requirement which can be testable means it should be tested. So it is a good requirement, so it is specifying. So what it is specifying? The app should load within 3 seconds. So why this testable? Because you can test and measure the loading time. You are using this specific testable requirement and all, you'll be testing and measuring the loading time of a particular app. Which app? For take an example of this food delivery app, pre-anchi food delivery app. And what is the fifth characteristic? Prioritized. Prioritize, in simple words, it is the important first. So what it means? Focus on the most important features first. Okay, for example, what is the first important of this pre-and food delivery app? Users must be able to place orders, that is the first thing. And the less important, like suggested dishes based on the past orders. Okay, and the second is the less important is first user has to place order, that is the first and the most important priority thing in developing a particular pre-and food delivery. And the second, for the less important is importance is given to this suggestion of a dishes after placing an order. Why it is good means, why this characteristic is good means, because it ensures some critical features are delivered first. Okay, the most priority features are developed first. Okay, so what is this trackable? Sixth characteristics, like trackable in the sense, which means each requirement should have an id. Okay, id in the requirement id. Take an example of requirement id or a number for easy reference. For reference purpose, each requirement should have an id. So for example, requirement id, that is first requirement, login using email, that is the first requirement. Why this requirement is good means, it will be easy to refer or to track the update. For suppose, if you given this requirement, one requirement, what is that? Login using email. That is one of the requirement which is added, which is to be added during the developing phase and all. So this manager will track using that particular id, so that is implemented into this app or not. If there is any issue regarding with this login using email, instead of naming all this and all, they will be using this id to rectify that particular issue and all. Fine. Next, so these are the some important characteristics of a good requirement. So why these good requirements? Good requirements helps in delivering a project exactly the what the user wants. Okay, fine. This is about the characteristics of a good requirement. And moving on to the next topic, which is nothing but a validation techniques. So what is this validation techniques? Validation ensures that gathered requirements accurately represent stakeholder needs. Okay, which, what is this validation? Validation is all about the verifying that the gathered documents, what are the requirements, gathered requirements, sorry, documents. It is not documents, it is requirements. So it ensures, it validates, it verifies that the requirements accurately represent the stakeholders needs, that they are implemented. So to understand this validation techniques, we will be using some example, which is nothing but a food delivery app. Take an example of this pre-and food delivery app only. Pre-and food delivery app. So there are different techniques involved in validating the gathered requirements. So what are the first technique is like prototyping. Prototyping, what it means? Creating a simplified model. Simplified model are nothing, simplified model is nothing but a demo model. Okay, or a mock-up of the system to validate the requirement with stakeholders. So to understand this, let us take an example. So example is like a prototype of a app's home screen and order flow is shown to restaurant owners and to users to get a feedback on an interface. It's like so in this examples of this free and food court and all, so one is the restaurant owners module. So in this owner module, they can add the list of items and add the prices to this. And this is one of an over screen, which is nothing but a demo version. Okay, a demo version of a small, which is not a functional app, the demo version of a particular layout, which is shown to this restaurant owner. And this prototype is used to get a feedback on the particular interface. So based upon this feedback and all, they'll add some features, they'll add some interfaces and all. Fine. So next, what is the second technique is like a review session. A review sessions is in sense, which means stakeholders review the documented requirements to identify missing or incorrect details. For examples, developers, testers, and client review a requirement. What does take an example of a requirement, like the app should support the UPI payment. So in the requirement, in the software requirement specification document, which is SRS. So they will be reviewing this document. In that, what is the document, what is that particular requirement. So the app should support UPI. So to confirm it matches the expectation, so it will be they will be checking that requirement in the document, and they will be checking the they will be confirming the same requirement in the app functionality, if it is working or not. So these will comes under this reviewing sessions. This is one of the validation technique. And what is the third technique is nothing but valid walkthroughs. What it means, walkthrough means a structured walkthrough of requirements by the development team to identify the issue. Identify issues in the sense, walkthrough means working on that. Uh, Working on that very clearly. For example, developers walk through the requirements, like user must be able to apply a promo code. Okay, so before this deployment and all, so they have to walk through it. They have to apply some demo promo codes to clarify the edge cases, like expiry codes or multiple promo codes and all. So this will be comes under this walkthrough and all. So what is the fourth validation technique is all about the simulations. Simulations means, what it means, simulating scenarios to validate how the system will handle them. So just like validating the system, like testing a system, how the system will handle in the different scenarios. So take an example, like simulating a peak order time. For suppose during some festive season and all, or like during the lunch hours, or some the pre-entry food delivery app will get some bulk orders. Okay, around in the given example, I have given a $10,000 per minute, but pre-entry food delivery app is somewhat a very small size. It will be working under two or three localities. The take a higher order amount of thousand orders per minute. Okay, so the app will work or not will be validated in using this simulations validation technique and all. Fine. What is the fifth validation technique? Fifth validation technique is about a test cases, writing some test cases. What it means, creating a test cases to verify if requirements are met during the development. To understand this, let us look into this example. What is this example about? A test case to validate the requirement. What requirement? The app should send an order confirmation email within 5 seconds of order placement. So what is the test case? If a customer orders some food using this pre-entry food delivery app, it should send a confirmation email within a 5 seconds that your order has been successful. So it will be reaching your location in 40 minutes and all. So the customer should receive a confirmation email of a particular order. Clear? So this is one of a test case. So next, sixth, what is the sixth validation technique is like stakeholder interviews. What it means, conducting some discussions with the stakeholders to confirm their needs met or not. So for example, like asking frequent app users if the requirements, like the app should allow saving a favorite restaurants fulfills their expectations or not. So like take the feedback from the users that is the users are able to adapt to this application or not. They want getting a feedback from the users about the software. Okay, this is all about the stakeholder interviews validation technique. So let us take an example of this real time example of this good requirement and bad requirement. So real time example is like I'm taking this pre-entry food delivery app. So this is the basic difference between a good requirement and a bad requirement. So what is this good requirement? Good requirement is like the app should let the users schedule a food delivery up to 7 days in advance. It means the requirement they are mentioning it like they can schedule a food delivery up to 7 days in advance. Okay, this is one of the requirement. So what is the validation technique, like create a simple design. Okay, simple design in the sense prototype. Okay, a demo version of that app of a scheduling feature, and ask user for a feedback. So this is one of the requirement. So they have prepared one prototype of this scheduling feature, and they are asking a feedback from the users. Okay, so test if the app correctly handles selecting and validating future dates and times. So they'll be testing that the prototype that it is working or not. So this is one of the example for a good requirement. So coming to this bad requirement is like, what is the requirement? The app should be fast. That is a requirement. What it is not specifically giving any requirement. The what the app should be for the app should be for means no sense, right? So the problem is like this is unclear and cannot be tested. Okay, this is example for a bad requirement. The problem is like this is unclear and cannot be tested, because if they specify that app should be fast means it should load within 3 seconds or 5 seconds. That comes under a good requirement, because it is specifying some time that it should load in within 5 seconds and all. So what is the improved requirement here? It is very clear here. What is that? The app should process payment within 2 seconds under normal network condition. This is the improved requirement. Clear? So what the conclusion is like, by writing clear and specific requirements, like the good example, what is this good example is like the requirement of 7 days in advance in scheduling a food delivery, and testing them through prototypes and simulations, the app will meet user expectations and avoid necessary fixes later. Okay, this is all about this characteristics of a good requirement and some validation techniques of these requirements. Yes, and thank you so much.